What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again. We got a special 49ers draft preview show. You know, I had to hit up Larry. Larry, you've been a busy man. I saw you on with Bruce in the morning, and then Matt Barrows, Peacock. Yeah, I'm very happy you could join me for an evening draft preview. But Larry, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great, baller. Good to see you. Fired up to talk ball with you, man. Always great.
The draft season, I love getting to know these prospects. Like, I watch some college ball on Saturdays, but it's like Sundays, I'm so locked in on the NFL. Saturdays, I got to make some time for the fam, right? But, after the Niners season ends, maybe I'll take a week off or so, and then I get into watching these prospects. It's just something I've enjoyed doing. But I want to ask you, what's the process for kind of going about evaluating these prospects? And like for me, I hit one position at a time, right? Like I might start, like this year I started at offensive tackle, usually kind of going by the Niners needs, right? So I hit offensive tackle, I'll go, 20 guys deep. Then I went to corner, go 20 guys deep. I go kind of position by position, but I want to pick your brain because I know, you've been scouting for a long time. But what's your process? How do you go about evaluating these guys?
Well, I just start watching games as soon as the college football season starts, and no preconceived notions, no notes, no nothing. Just start watching games, and I keep a notebook of just who stands out to me, and when somebody stands out to me, I write their name down. Kind of an organic, deal. So. And then I see who is coming out. Some of those guys that stand out might be freshmen or sophomores. Some of them may be juniors that are eligible for the draft. And then I just see of the guys that jumped out to me organically, who's in the draft. And then I'm religious. I watch the bowl season. First of all, I'm taping a bunch of games, so I'm probably watching. And I'm watching college football games at least one a night because I'll watch maybe two on a Saturday, but it's like I'm doing other things. But then I'll tape, like, let's say maybe 5 or 6 or 7 games during the week, and I'll just make sure I watch them all start to finish and make notes on players. And then I try to make sure I see everybody, but I also try to watch it like a fan. So I just want to watch the games that I want to watch. And then your bowl season, I start to really hone in because the bowl season tells me like how professional they are. Because, a lot of times guys shut it down. They stop practicing hard. They stop focusing on attention to detail. So sometimes they put on bad weight. So I want to see the bowl season. I want to see their final game, and I want to see how they handled that. And then as soon as the bowl season's over, I just watch the combine and I make sure I watch all the all-star games start to finish, usually a couple times. And who stands out at the East-West game, who stands out at the Hula Bowl, who stands out at the Senior Bowl. I tape all the Senior Bowl practices. And then I watch the combine and try not to put too much credence into the combine. I try to have a pretty good idea. And then I also spend a lot of time looking at the stats to see who leads the country in sacks, who leads the country in tackles. Did I see, and then I kind of cross compare that list to the list of guys that jumped out to me. So now I'm looking at guys who jumped out to me, but then also that are productive. Because to me, the mistakes happen when you start looking for things besides production. So I try to look for just guys who stand out to me and guys who are productive and take it from there. And then of those guys, who works out well. I don't do tons of research. I like to read the Bruce Feldman Freaks list because to me, if you have a productive football player who's also a crazy athlete, that's a great indication of a terrific pro. Last year, for example, I watched the Rose Bowl, and this is not this year, but 2 years ago, and I saw Jair Brown, and he was the MVP of the Rose Bowl. And then I also cross compared that to Bruce Feldman's Freaks list, and he was there. He power clean 335 and he did all this lifting. So I got a pretty good handle that the guy stood out to me, and then he stood out in the bowl game, and then he was on the freaks list. And
Sounds
so,
like a good prospect right there.
yeah, I mean, you start checking boxes, right? He's really what you're looking for is guys who are productive and then physically are going to be able to transition to that next level.
Love it. Love it. And I want to ask you, the Niners, they made an acquisition, they made a signing this week, and it's Trent Taylor. I got to ask you, do you think Trent Taylor is a lock to make this roster, or how would you view him kind of coming into camp?
I just think that Shanahan, has Super Bowl nightmares, and Trent Taylor is an answer to some of that, right? He doesn't want to lose the game on special teams, and so I don't think he's automatically made the roster. I think he'll compete, but he's very safe. He's not going to turn it over. He's going to catch the ball. I think Shanahan, probably watched that Super Bowl a couple times and is like, dude, we lost the Super Bowl on this huge negative play on special teams. Let's get a guy who can return, who can avoid that huge negative play, somebody that we can really trust in, and not have to worry about. And I think Trent Taylor checks that box.
Okay, love it. So it sounds like, probably maybe he makes the team, but he's not a lock. Okay. Because
Not a
what
lock. I mean, he's got to beat out Ronnie Bell. He's got to beat out anybody they draft. But I think right now, and it's a numbers game too. It's like, if somebody that maybe they have, I give you a guy who's in the draft, Daquan Hardy, I believe his name is, for Penn State. He's a nickelback. He's small, but he might be one of the best return guys in the country. Let's say you pick that guy up in the 7th round or as an undrafted free agent. That now you've got, a guy who can play a defensive backfield spot and help you, as opposed to Trent Taylor doesn't give you a lot from scrimmage. So, you got to balance it all. But I think Trent Taylor probably has a 60-40 shot of making the roster.
Okay. You know what I do like? That profile of a receiver, kind of the smaller guy, give him the option route out of the slot. I think that's a profile of a wide receiver that could work well with Brock Purdy, right? Brock, he's
Yeah.
decisive, he's accurate. Like we know Jawan, he's the big slot, but that mold of a slot receiver, like a Julian Edelman, like a Wes Welker, just a smaller, quicker, twitchier guy, which Trent, he's kind of the low end of that. Like I've been kind of looking at some of these wide receiver prospects, trying to figure out who could be in that mold to maybe compete with Trent for that role. And we'll get to some of those names in a little bit. But I want to start off with the offensive tackles, Larry, because looking at it, in my opinion, that's the biggest need on this Niners team. And we're starting up top. First, we're going to be looking at, probably some players who are going to be gone by the time the Niners pick at 31. That being said, I think I want to move up this year, Larry. And I know I consume a lot of Krug show content. I know I think you're more of the mindset of, hey, trade back, accumulate more picks. But just the way I'm seeing this first round shake out, there's like 25 or 26 players that I love. And I'm not sure any of those guys are going to make it to 31. So I wouldn't mind going up, 7 to 10 spots and getting one of these players that I love. But I want to start off at offensive tackle. I think it's the biggest need. And, we're skipping Joe Walt and Fashanu. They're going too high. Niners, I don't think they can trade up that high. But, Fuaga, maybe he's there at 12, 14. Could they potentially move up? But let's talk about Talise Fuaga because, man, when I put on the tape, Larry, this guy jumped out to me. Like his movement skills at 6'6", 324 were insane. Like he can pull across the formation. He's getting to the second level. Like I was blown away from what I saw from Fuaga. But what do you think about Talisi?
He's nasty. He's a nasty run blocker. This guy kind of would play for free, I think. I mean, this guy's really nasty. I really like him. He's, to me, he's like a Coke machine with a bad attitude. You know what I mean? It's like he's just that
Yeah.
wide. He's big and wide and strong, and he just loves to play and he hits. And yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no question that to me, he's got the disposition that I really love in an offensive lineman. He wants to hit the guy in front of him. He wants to deal out the pain. Um, yeah, I really like him. Really like him. I think he's the right disposition. Um, he's a guy that wants a fight. It's a short area fight is what it is. And yeah, I like Fuaga a lot. I think he's one of the very, very best.
Uh,
And he might. I
yeah.
think he's probably going to go. My guess is in the top 15.
Yeah. So if he was there at, 13, 14, what do you think it would cost to go from 31 to 14? Like, is that you got to include next year's one? You probably would have to give up
Mm,
this year's two at least,
I would
probably a
say a
two and a
2, a
four.
3, and a 4. Maybe a 2, 3, and a
Yeah.
4, something like that.
That's rich. That's
Unless
rich.
you're going
That
to
being
move
said,
a player. Unless you're going to,
mm,
unless you're going to move Ayuk or something like that. That could get you up. But I think where they're at 31, I would say at least a 2, a 3, and a 4, and maybe even a 2, a 3, a 4, and maybe a conditional day 2 pick next year.
yeah. To be honest, it sounds like a lot. I wouldn't be mad at it because that's how much I love Fuwaga. But why don't we go to this next tackle prospect that another guy I love, and it's Troy Fatanu. I love this kid out of Washington. Like, Larry, this guy moves like a tight end. Just just with the fluidity and how smooth he plays. He measured better. Like, there was a lot of talk kind of pre-combine. Fatanu, I think he's going to be a guard. He doesn't have the length, but hey, the arm length, you see it there on the screen, 60 percentile. I think that kind of surprised some people. And this guy's a tackle. And I think he's the kind of tackle that the Niners like, right? Uh, Quicker, guys that can get to the second level. They're more agile, right? We know, the zone scheme. I think Kyle favors those smaller, quicker offensive linemen. I love Fatanu and Fuaga, both those guys. But what do you think about Fatanu? My notes on he's very agile, light on his feet. He takes good angles. These are the notes I jotted down here on the screen.
Well, he played high school volleyball as well. I thought that was interesting. This guy won the Morris Trophy. He was the best offensive lineman in the conference. I thought his movement ability at the combine was rare. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, I think this is the guy they want. I know Forster and Lynch went up to Seattle for Husky Pro Day, and I think this is the guy. And a lot of people speculated they wanted Roger Rosengarten, but I think this is the guy they want. Fatanu, why? Because I think he's plug and play. He's ready to go right now, and he fits them because they don't know where the need is, and this guy can play in any of the spots. So I in a lot of ways, I think this is the best offensive lineman from the standpoint of he's ready to go. He's super fast. He's really aggressive. He's a proven player. I really like Fatanu. I think of all the offensive linemen, I think he fits them the best.
I agree. I agree. Okay. It's the consensus between us is we love Fatanu. And then, the broad jump, that kind of shows some explosiveness in that lower body strength, 94th percentile. The vertical jump. I mean,
Super smart kid too. He academic honor roll. He showed up at the combine in great shape. He moved better than everybody else. You could see it. So he's smart. He's tough. He's fast. He's physical. He's versatile. Yeah, this guy, to me, this is the guy they want. Why? Because they're not sure what the offensive line is going to look like. They don't know. The Niners, I don't know that anybody comes in with a starting job, but they don't know exactly what they need. I mean, they may need a right guard if, Feliciano and Burford don't work out. They may need a right tackle if McKivitz doesn't work out. They may need a left tackle if Trent gets hurt or retires. They may need a left guard if Banks walks at the end of the year. So, I mean, this guy's a really good prospect, really solid offensive lineman, can play all 5 spots. To me, this is the guy. Of all the guys, this is the guy they want, I think.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay, a few more tackles that I think are going to be, not I think, that are going to be gone in the first round. But after Alt and Fashanu and Fuaga and Fatanu, I see a little bit of a teardrop. I don't know if you see it that way, but next on my list, I want to talk about is J.C. Latham, who, I mean, this is a big boy, 6'6", 342. But you know what the thing is, Larry? I don't think this is the Niners kind of tackle, right? The Niners already had a J.C. Latham. Kyle had a J.C. Latham his first year when he came to the Niners. And who's that? It's Trent Brown, right? And it didn't last.
But
They
Trent
moved on.
Brown's big fat body. This guy's body is ridiculous.
Yeah, but I don't think he has.
This is the prototype. This
It
guy
is,
is
but I don't
just
think we
absolutely
talked about
incredible.
Fatanu and Fuaga. I don't think Latham has the movement skills that I think these Niners covet, that Forrester and Shanahan covet. They want guys who are gonna, wall off the defender, get the right angle because it takes some quickness, get to the second level, pick up the outside linebacker. Maybe they got to pick up a safety. Like that didn't seem to be a strength when I was watching J.C. Latham. I mean, you're not going to bull rush J.C. Latham. He's a wall, but just some of the things I feel like this offensive line coach and Kyle Shanahan covet is just some of the quickness, ability to get to the second level in the zone scheme. So I like Latham, but I don't think the Niners are going to take him. Now, how do you feel about JC?
Love him. Absolutely love him. He was a 5-star coming out of high school. The guy is just I mean, you want to build a fortress around Brock Purdy. This is a great pillar of strength. I mean, this guy's awesome. This guy's huge, long arms. I know what you're saying. He's almost too blue chip for them, but you know what? It's time for them to have a blue chip player. This is the guy that's going to make Trent Williams look small. This guy's a monster. I love J.C. Latham. I think he's totally dominant. I know people have suggested maybe he's a guard, maybe, but I think he's a plug and I don't think he's a left tackle, but I think he's a plug and play right tackle that's going to play in the NFL for years. Now, a lot of people don't love the lineage and the history of Alabama offensive linemen, DJ Fluker to they've had a lot of big talent. Yeah, Leatherwood. They've had a bunch of big talented guys that haven't performed. This guy is just I think this is the blue chipper. This guy in some ways, this is the right tackle from Central Casting. I mean, this is what you're looking for. I love this kid. He's monstrous. He's got enough foot quickness. He's when he gets his hands on you, he's just thick and powerful. And I if you're really trying to protect Brock Purdy, I mean, this guy really I think is top shelf. He's just so big. He's so big, so strong that his technique doesn't have to be great. It's going to get better because all rookie offensive linemen's technique gets better. But this guy's just so big and so strong and so powerful, and he clutches onto you with those ridiculous monster mitts, and it's like you're done. So I love J.C. Latham.
I like Latham. I think you're a little higher on him than I am, but nothing wrong with that. Now, this next guy, I have a feeling I think I'm a little higher on him than you are, and it's Amarius Mims. Okay, when I heard about Mims, and this is before I started watching him. I was just listening to some draft podcasts and whatnot, and we know the limited sample size, right? That's what everyone brings up. He's only started 8 games. He's only played 800 snaps, which is not a lot. So coming in, I did have a preconceived notion that I was like, you know what? This guy ain't a fit for the Niners. He doesn't have the reps needed to start day one and be an upgrade to Colton McKivitz. But then I started watching the tape, Larry. And the more I watched of Amarius Mims, the more I liked him. And this is a guy with that limited experience. He might be the one who does slip down the draft board. He he was limited. He had the high ankle sprain, had the tightrope surgery, not a ton of experience. The pass set looks a little choppy. Like it's not as smooth as some of these other guys we've mentioned. That being said, like it looks choppy, but guys aren't beating him. And it was just the more like I watched him versus Tennessee, then I watched him versus South Carolina, then I watched him versus Georgia Tech, and it was just like the more I watched, the more I loved this kid. I went from coming in thinking, you know what, he's not a fit, he's not experienced enough, to thinking like, dude, this guy's got the size, he ain't getting beat. Yeah, he's 6'8", 340, but he doesn't play like he's 340. So I like Mims. I know it could be a bit of a gamble. There's a risk element, but how do you see the big tackle out of Georgia?
Well, I mean, he looks awesome in a uniform. I mean, you're talking about the prototype. He was a 5-star out of high school for good reason. I mean, this guy's got the absolute rarest of rare builds. He's got a thin waist. He's got huge, long arms. But here's my thing is that, I'd want to meet this kid. I'd want to talk to him. I'd want to talk to his coaches. I want to find out what motivates him, because he's got the physical for sure, but does he like to play? Some guys, this guy was born into an ideal offensive tackle's body, but does he like to play football? He only played 8 games or whatever it was. There's guys that, you know, guys that love football typically play a lot of games, and guys who don't love it find a way out of the games. And I would like to know why he only played 8 games. Partial injury, partially it's the depth, but I mean, it's an incredible talent. This might be the best talent, pure talent. I mean, this is the guy you want coming off the bus. I mean, you're going to love looking at this guy in training camp. But as far as consistency, I want to know, why did he only play 8 games? Does he love to play? I need offensive linemen who love to play. And I'm always a little concerned too about these super blue chip offensive linemen that come from, places that there's not a lot of adversity. There's not a lot of adversity at University of Georgia. I kind of like guys who come from cold weather and are a little, just kind of rugged. This guy's a super talent, but how tough is he? How much does he love to play? I don't know what the essence of the player is. Physically, he's exactly what you want. And I've seen his highlight reel. He looks really great in the highlight reel, but why did he play so few games? Is he
Well, let
gonna
me
be a
answer. Can I
guy who
answer that?
plays very few
Yeah,
games going forward?
I mean, Georgia, they're an NFL pipeline, right? They had a couple, linemen drafted last year. Warren McClendon by the Rams, Broderick Jones. Like they're a pipeline for offensive linemen. I think that's part of the reason why he didn't get a ton of reps, and also the high ankle injury that he had this season.
Yeah. But I mean, also, some guys tape it up and play. I mean, some guys find a way to get on the field. Some guys find a way to get off the field. I just want to know what I'm getting with this kid, because he looks the part. There's no question. Nobody would ever question, any team that drafts him, because he's so big, so long, such an obvious, great
He's got the
talent.
tools.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the tools, but does he love to play? Is he nasty? Does he want to? Does he want to hit the guy on the other side of the line of scrimmage? Does he want to inflict pain? I mean, I don't know. I mean, a guy like this, he may have just been born into this body, and he's playing offensive tackle because that's just kind of the body he was born into. Is he nasty? Does he really love to play? I'd want to investigate, but I love the measurables. I mean, he's an incredible talent when you look at it. And if you got a great offensive line coach and you deciphered that he does have the fire. If he's got the fire, I'm interested. If he doesn't have the fire, I'm not interested.
You know what's funny? The way you described Amarius Mims is exactly how I describe this next guy we're talking about here, and it's Tyler Guyton. Because my notes on Tyler Guyton, he looks the part, he moves well for a big guy, but then I'm saying I want more nasty, not high effort like that. There's something like when you're watching Fatanu or Fuaga, they're never not blocking somebody, right? If there's no immediate work in front of them, they're going to go find work. I didn't really see that with Tyler Guyton. I didn't see, him trying to run down the linebacker to wall him off, to spring the running back. So some of the things you were saying about Mims, I'm saying about Tyler Guyton. I'm lower on Tyler Guyton than consensus. I do not want him at pick 31. Like I said, he looks the part, but I want more nasty. And like you said, from your offensive lineman to want more nasty, it's a bit of a red flag for me. So, but what do you think about Guyton?
I mean, I talked to Trent Williams about him late in the year, and he really likes him now. Does he like him because he's a Sooner? I don't know. Does he like him because he met him at a football camp? I don't know. When I watched his highlight film, he looks good. But then when you watch him in games, he looks like he lacks stamina, physical stamina. And to me, he looks like he lacks a little bit of desire to just bury people. It seems like I've seen, in the midst of plays before the whistle, he looks like he stopped playing. He's physically exactly what you're looking for. 6'7", 330, great balance, really good in the run game. But I'm just concerned about his physical endurance. Just seemed like he was waiting. He wasn't a guy that was playing to the whistle. He was a guy that, blocked his guy and then just, didn't seem like he wanted to bury him, and also looked really, really fatigued. To me, especially in some of the second half of games, this guy looked out of shape and slow, like he was winded.
Yeah, I watched him against Texas, and I know Texas has a formidable front, but I wasn't impressed with his performance that game. That being said, why don't we just take a bigger look at the list of tackles? You can just give me your sleeper who you like here. Let me pull up this. Let's see here. Forgive me. There we go. I wanted to pull this one up, and we can go here. So after Guyton, I see a teardrop. Well, really after Mims, after that Fatanu, Latham, Mims, I see a big teardrop. I like Jordan Morgan more than Tyler Guyton. Jordan Morgan, he's had a ton of experience at Arizona. Then you got the kid from Yale, Amagaji. Sua Matea, I know I'm lower on than consensus, and I'll tell you why. I know he played both tackle spots, but he's got clunky feet. I don't like. Oh, I'm sorry, Larry, you're covered up here. That's on me. But I'm not a big fan of Kingsley Suamataia because he's got the clunky feet, and I want fluidity in the footwork. I want a nice smooth kick step. So I'm a bit lower on Kingsley. I know it feels like a lot of Niners fans, just from gauging on Twitter and whatnot, would love Suamataia at 31. I don't love it, but kind of looking at the rest of these offensive tackle rankings after, the top 6 guys who I think are first round locks, who are your tackles you like after that top tier?
Well, I mean, I think it's a deep group for sure. I like Javon Foster from Missouri, who's 6'5", about 320. He's played both tackle spots, really long arms, incredibly strong hands. You could see the hand strength in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. To me, he's my favorite tackle. I also like Garrett Greenfield. Garrett Greenfield from South Dakota State, 6'5", 6'6", 305, 310 pounds, had a 38.5-inch vertical, set the combine record, has played both right tackle and left tackle. So in a lot of ways, Greenfield's the best swing tackle candidate. Worked out awesome, and was the starting offensive tackle on a team that won the national championship at the FCS level. I think Greenfield, they say he's the reports in the Dane Brugler draft guide was this guy's all ball all the time. And so when you're all ball all the time and you've got experience at right tackle and left tackle, when you've set the record for 38.5-inch vertical, that means you're an athlete. I like Garrett Greenfield. Javon Foster and Garrett Greenfield. I think they're probably late round 3, early round 4 for Foster, maybe round 4, round 5 for Greenfield, but those are my two favorite.
Okay, I got to put some work in on Greenfield. I'll let you know how I feel about him. Why don't we go to the next position? I feel like we hammered out offensive tackle. And here, off to the side, we got Baller's big board. This is my cornerback rankings here, Larry. Okay. And, I heard you earlier today. Like I said, I consume some Krug Show content. And you're concerned about Nate Wiggins' size, and how skinny he is. Larry, man, the dude is sticky. He's physical. The stickiest corner in the draft, in my opinion. I mean, play in and play out. He's in the wide receiver's hip pocket. He's got elite speed. He's got the length. Like, I know there's some concerns maybe with the durability, Larry. I don't care. I think he's the stickiest dude. When I'm evaluating corners, I know the Niners play a lot of zone, so maybe Nate Wiggins philosophically isn't the right fit for the Niners system. But if you want to play man and you want some sticky coverage, you want to play a cover one, like I want Nate Wiggins guarding these premier receivers because I think he's going to be tight. He's going to be in their hip pocket. I think he's sticky in coverage. So I think Nate Wiggins is the best corner in the draft. Who do you got number 1 on your cornerback rankings?
Well, Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, he had 4 picks in a game. The guy's film is awesome. He runs in the 4.3s. He was an awesome player at Toledo. I talked to Sammy Womack about him. He's like, yeah, this guy's real. So, yeah, I like Quinyon Mitchell the most. Terrion Arnold. I mean, I fell in love with Terrion Arnold at the Combine. Just, what that kid's about. And he's a great athlete. I mean, to me, Wiggins is a little too fragile. I mean, you're talking about, I think a corner's got to be really, really tough because you got to set the edge in the run game, the run outside. Kool-Aid McKinstry's coming off the injury, the Liz Frank. He didn't run great for the stopwatch. I'm a little concerned about taking a first-round corner who doesn't run well. Rakestraw from Missouri, I really like. He's very cocky, very confident, but another guy really, really thin, and there's injury concerns. I really like, first of all, it's a great group. There's a lot of guys. TJ Tampa from Iowa State is an absolute hitter. Love him. Kamari Lassiter didn't run a good 40 time, so I think there's good value there, but I think he's field fast. And I kind of like his athleticism. Kyrie Jackson from Oregon, gigantic corner, 6'4", very rangy. Love Elijah Jones from Boston College. Probably my favorite corner is Max Melton from Rutgers. Runs in the 4.3s, hits like a truck. Absolute hits like a truck. Mikey Sainristil is, a converted player who's, slow to the, late to the position, but he's a really good slot corner. Really like him. DeCamerion Richardson from Mississippi State's got height and speed, but I don't love his instincts. Cam Hart's got good size from Notre Dame, but to me, he doesn't mirror well up and down the field.
He's a zone guy. Cam Hart, he's more of a zone guy.
I don't love the way he mirror. I don't think he can mirror. I don't think he's got body control to mirror. I love Jarvis Brownlee, the Florida State transfer, went to Louisville. DJ James, I really like. He had the game-winning pick for Auburn against Cal. And then I think there's some steals here. Renardo Green is a steal for Florida State. I mean, I got
a star by him on my list. I liked what I saw from Renardo Green.
Yeah, love him. I like most of these guys, to be honest. I like Nehemiah Pritchett. I like Newton. Dwight McClothern from Arkansas is a good corner. Kamal Haddon from Tennessee is a good corner. I like the kid who played in the Canadian League, who didn't go to college, Quantrez Stiggers from the Toronto Argonauts. He might be a safety, but, man, he's a player. Chow Smith-Wade is small, but he's got great ball skills. DeAndre Prince is an underrated corner from Ole Miss. Really like him. One of my favorite I've got two real favorite day 3 guys. I love Willie Drew from Virginia State. This guy hits like a monster. He was the only FCS player invited to the combine. To me, he's a lock to be really, really good. I like Storm Duck from Louisville. I really like Chigozie Anusium, who started at Cal and transferred to Colorado State. He runs in the 4.3s and he's 6'1", 200 pounds. He showed up at the Niner local pro day. He was far and away the best corner on the field in my mind. Newsium is a real sleeper. Carlton Johnson from Fresno State's a solid corner. Rashad Williams from Texas Tech is a good corner. Mikey Victor from Alabama State is big, and he's a small school guy, but Mikey Victor is either going to be a really good safety or a really good corner. Really like him. So yeah, there's a bunch of guys that kind of stand out. Those are the ones for the most part. Miles Battle from Utah is 6'4". He's a 6'4" corner from Utah. Great length. I really like him. Him and Mikey Victor seem to be really good day 3 guys. But my favorite guys, I would say, would be definitely Willie Drew from Virginia State. He's probably my favorite prospect when you factor in value and where in the draft and what it takes to get him. He would be my favorite, Willie Drew. And then after that, I'd say my next favorite is probably Renardo Green, who's probably a 4th round pick, maybe a late 3rd. And then Max Melton up top. Yeah, those would probably be my three favorite would be Max Melton, Renardo Green, and the Virginia
Willie
State
Drew.
Willie Drew. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote him down. I got to admit, I feel like I hammered out the day 1, day 2 guys. I got to brush up on my day 3 guys. So you gave me a few names.
And
go ahead.
check out DeAndre Prince from Ole Miss. He's 6 feet. He's 185 pounds. He really is an athlete. I saw him. I watch a lot of Ole Miss football. There's a lot of great prospects in the state of Mississippi, and DeAndre Prince, who wore I think 7 for Ole Miss, really good player. He's from Mississippi, Charleston, Mississippi. He went to Northeast Mississippi Community College and then came in. I really like him a lot.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm gonna check out these guys. Kind of going back towards the top, kind of looking at pick 31. Where would you kind of draw the line at what corners you would want at pick 31? Like for me, after I got Kool-Aid over Terrion Arnold. Like I liked Arnold. I thought the interception numbers, what do you have, like 5 or 6 picks? I thought that was a little misleading because a few of those were at least 3 of them were like tipped up in the air. I mean, Larry, you could have had 3 of those interceptions. So I thought just looking at the box, the stat sheet, it was a little misleading for Arnold. Not to say that he's not sticky, not to say that he's not a good athlete. I mean, I got him 5th on my list, but I like Kool-Aid. I like how Kool-Aid, he's always finding the ball. He's looking for, he's trying to make a play on it. I know he's not the fastest guy, but I just think he's really good in coverage. He plays with a sense of calm. Like there's no panic to Kool-Aid's game. And contrastingly, I thought Arnold was a little grabby, just for me. I don't know. I thought he was a little more grabby than Kool-Aid. Again, I like Arnold, but I like Kool-Aid a little bit more. I know he's coming off the foot injury. And
Kool-Aid's got a little bit more dog in him, where Arnold is got the physical prototype that you're looking for. I just love Arnold as a guy. I think Arnold is a tremendous guy. The way he talked, the movement ability. He's got a great body for the game. As far as first round, the only corners I would take in the first round would be Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, or TJ Tampa. You could reach for Max Melton.
No Cooper DeJean, huh?
Well, Cooper DeJean I kind of thought of as more of a safety. Yeah, Cooper DeJean I would take in the first round too.
Okay, love it. Let's see. Let's see what position we got up next here. Hey,
There's also some nickel corners. I mean, Daquan Hardy from Penn State is a great return guy, but he's 5'9", 175. But he's a great nickel corner. Beanie Bishop from West Virginia is a great nickel corner, the redshirt senior. I watched a lot of West Virginia this year. He made a number of plays. Beanie's a player. There's no question about it. Those guys stand out too.
sounds good. Yeah, I'm gonna check out some of these day 3 guys. Uh, hey, everyone watching, make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe. I'm lucky to have Larry on. It's also being streamed on my channel, so make sure you check that out. Bay Area Baller 18. Yeah, come check us out. Give me a subscribe. But next, I want to talk some edge, Larry. And
Okay.
in my opinion, man, there's a clear cut top 3 to this edge class. And if one
Not a
of them
great.
were to,
It's not a great. It's not a great group this year. I don't think.
but I
I
love
mean,
the
I
top
mean,
3 though. I
yeah.
love the top 3, but after that, yes, I agree. There's a
It's not
teardrop
deep.
after. No, it's not deep. But man, if a Jared Verse somehow slips to 16, 17, I would love to go up and get him because that's the type of player I think the Niners are looking for with Chris Kosiric. Like originally, 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said, give me that Leo edge rusher opposite Bosa. Give me that speed rusher that can really turn the corner. I feel like the Niners are going away from that. And the reason for that is, you have a speed rusher who's getting upfield. It creates that alley for the quarterback to escape out the pocket. So now I really feel like the Niners philosophically on that D line, they want to kind of compress it at times, squeeze the quarterback in the pocket. I think Jared Verse would be the perfect defensive end to do that. And that's why, like Chop Robinson, yeah, he's quick as hell off the edge. I like his hands, but we're talking about he's strictly just a pass rusher. Like, I don't want to put him in on rundowns. That's why I see such a drastic drop from the top 3. I mean, Dallas Turner, Verse, and Latu. I love those 3. If one of them slips into the late teens or into the 20s, I want to go up and get one of those 3. Other than that, I think I'm cool off edge in the first round. But, how do you see the top end of this edge class?
Well, I mean, Dallas Turner, between the speed, the size, the strength, the production, I mean, he's really good. He's really good. I mean, he's 6'3", 245, but he plays like with the strength of somebody who's like 270, and the speed is off the charts. To me, Dallas Turner is a really, really good player. Now, Latu is got all the moves, but he's had concussions. He's got neck issues. He's got, he's kind of a physical. You got to wonder. He's really lean. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Jalen Phillips for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
He's a great pass rusher if he's healthy, but you really got to do your homework on his health. Verse has got a great motor. I love the fact that he keeps coming. Chop Robinson, I think, is more of a workout guy. He's an awesome speed guy, but I don't see moves there. I just see speed. Jonah Ellis is, a second generation guy. Now he's only 6'2", 248, but he's got all the moves. He's got spin moves, counter moves. He's a true veteran pass rusher who's got, an array of moves. I mean, Luther Ellis is his dad. Jonah Ellis was spectacular this year for Utah. He'll go outside and spin inside. He'll go inside and spin outside. He's just a hard guy to handle.
13 sacks, Jonah Ellis.
Oh, he's phenomenal. He's absolutely phenomenal. But he's only about 250. Braswell's a great athlete, but I like, I'm not sure how to evaluate him because he was around so much talent. Marshawn Nealon, to me, I know they worked him out, and there was a lot of talk they like him. He looks stiff to me. He's at 267. He doesn't look really loose. Austin Booker is an amazing pass rusher for Kansas, but he's really underpowered.
He's
I think,
skinny.
he's skinny. I mean, he's really skinny, but he's got a
Yeah.
great get off. He's got a great ability to rush the passer. My favorite guys I like Mo Kamara from Colorado State. This guy, if this guy were 6'3", he'd be a first round pick. I mean, he's 6'1". And to me, this is where you get great value. This guy is as productive as almost any defensive end there is in this draft. The only knock on him is he's 6'1". I don't care. To me, if there's certain positions where the NFL is such a movement game, and it's so built on speed and power and the ability to translate speed to power, that I think the most overrated thing sometimes is height. I don't care how tall the guy is. I care more about his his bendability, can he contort his body, can he get parallel to the ground. Mohammed Kamara is a ridiculous athlete. I love him, and to me he reminds me of Hugh Douglas. Really love him. I think he's my favorite guy in the draft. Cedric Johnson from Ole Miss is a tremendous athlete. Javon Solomon is just one of the highest productive sack guys there is. And kind of like the way like a Pajemski in the NBA has jumped in and gotten minutes because he rebounds. Rebounding is the trait that transitions from college to the pros. Sack production is the trait that transitions in football from college to the pros. And Javon Solomon from Troy is just a sack monster. So I love Javon Solomon. I love Mohammed Kamara. And then there's guys down the line. I mean, Braden McGregor from Michigan is a real try-hard guy. Ayabi Okianoma was a 5-star high school kid who went to Bama, left, went to Michigan, left. The guy's been at like 5 schools. But he's 6'4", 260, and he's got an NFL frame and an NFL body. He's real. I mean, he is absolutely real. Sundiata Anderson from Grambling lacks some power, but man, this guy's got speed off the edge. He is really, really fun to watch. He stands out to me. Richard Jubinor, who played opposite Javon Solomon at Troy, is a crazy athlete. He's only 235 pounds, but he's got long arms and he's nasty. I love him, Richard Jubinor. I mean, there's a few other guys here on the list that are not bad. One guy that I really liked was AJ Simon, and he actually died on Tuesday of a heart attack from
damn.
Albany. Very, very sad story. But
Wow.
yeah, my favorite guys would be late rounds, love Jubinor from Troy. Mid rounds, love Kamara. I'd even take Kamara in the 3rd round. Love Sunday Anderson.
You're telling me a Chop Robinson in round 1 or Mo Kamara in round 3? Like, it's Kamara all day.
Yeah. I love Mo Kamara.
The guy you didn't mention, I like a
Javon Solomon.
I like
Who's that?
I like a Justin Aboigbe out of Alabama. He's more of a big end. I'm looking at him as more of an edge setter, who I also kind of similar to the mold of Clellan Ferrell.
He's a bigger bodied guy though. I would say he's more
a big
of like a
end.
3. Well, I mean, he's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
He's 6'4",
really
297. Yeah, I mean
he's a guy who
that's not really an end.
I mean, what's
I like him too, but
weighing 270, 275.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's 300 pounds. This guy's like a 3 technique.
Well, I could see him being at D end on a base down, on a run base down, and then kicking inside. He's a guy who I think gives you some versatility. Like, I like a Aboigbe. I know I'm higher on a Aboigbe than most. Also, I like Braylon Trice out of Washington. I think he's got some serious pass.
He's really good.
Braylon Trice.
He's really
I watched
good.
him in the Sugar Bowl against Texas, and he dominated. I mean, he had multiple sacks, forced a fumble. He's got a great first step. He's got good hands. Like, I don't know if teams might look at him more as an outside linebacker, but Braylon Trice, like, He could play for me any day.
Yeah, no, Braylon Trice has great numbers. He's got great technique. I like him a lot. I mean, not a lot of speculation that the Niners were up in Washington looking at those offensive linemen, but they very well could have been looking at Braylon Trice.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Nelson Caesar out of Houston, like he didn't
He's a good
measure
player.
well. He didn't run well, but just watching the tape, he's a freaking damn good football player. I said he's not the biggest nor the fastest, but the dude just makes plays. Like he had 10 sacks. He's got great get off. He's got good hands. He's got sneaky power. Like Nelson, like I said, not the biggest, not the fastest, but the dude just makes plays.
Yeah. Yeah. Jalix Hunt is a hell of a player too. I think he played for Houston Christian or something like that. He's an interesting player.
No doubt. Hey, shout out to everyone
and
in the
don't forget
chat.
Jalen Harrell for the Wolverines. I mean, Jalen Harrell had a very good year. I think he ran in the pro day. I think he ran really, really well. He's a Tampa kid. He's 6'4", about 245, 250. He was academic all Big Ten, two-time all Big Ten selection, pretty productive player. Motor revs hard. I kind of like him, but he's a little undersized. I mean, the thing with the Niners is it's like, are they going to go for one of these undersized guys? I mean, almost all of these guys, like my favorite guys, I would say would be, because obviously Turner, Latu, Verse, those guys up top. But I like the productive guys. I like Jonah Ellis, Muhammad Kamara, Javon Solomon. Yeah, those are my three. Those are the three guys I like the most.
Yeah, those are some situational pass rushers, which you always need a couple of those guys. Bring them in on third down, to bend the edge. Absolutely. Jalen Harrell, I was looking at my notes on him, good quickness. He has a nice spin move where, he'll threaten the outside, spin back inside. So good player.
Also,
He had 7 sacks. I like Harrell.
I watched Cincinnati. Malik Van for the Bearcats is a guy who's kind of like interior. He's like one of those guys. He's not quite interior, he's not quite outside. He's 6'3", about 270. He's got a real pass rush knack. He's almost kind of like an undersized tackle, but I think he would be a nice undrafted free agent to bring in.
Okay, I'm gonna take a look at him. A shout out to Los. Shout out to the whole chat. Chat's live. Los said, "TGIF boys, get that O line fixed above all else. Baller back in the Bay for the next 4 days. Billiards rematch." You don't want that smoke, Los. I took you down last time. If you really want it, hit me up. We'll play some pool, and I'll give you that rematch. Let's see.
Did you get a new vehicle yet?
No, I have not. I have not. Luckily, the in-laws have kind of loaned me an extra car, temporarily. So I'm looking. If anyone has a good deal on a vehicle, hit me up. I'm looking for a sedan.
Okay.
But no, that although State Farm hooked me up, man. They gave me, 8.5 G's for that 2011 Camry, which was
nice,
way more than I was expecting. Like when they sent me that, I was like, all right, yeah, I'll take it.
The guy that we really haven't talked about, Darius Robinson from Missouri,
Yes,
is more of a defensive end in my mind than a defensive tackle. And Darius Robinson is a tremendous athlete. I could see the Niners going Darius Robinson at 31. I really could.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Talking about big end, Darius Robinson is a big end.
Be, if he leans out, he could be an overwhelming player opposite Nick Bosa. You're talking about right now he's about 290, 295. Imagine if you could lean him out to 285. And the way he practiced in the Senior Bowl week, he was the practice player of the week. This guy's got he's got a little bit of, he reminds me of Aldon Smith wearing those Missouri colors, but without all the troubles. Darius Robinson could be a phenomenal pick.
I like that call. I could definitely see Darius Robinson because I think that's kind of the profile that they want at defensive end anymore. I don't think they really want the little speed rusher like they had the idea to get D Ford. Now I think they want these big boys that can kind of compress the pocket because that's how you beat a Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to speed rush. He's going to escape and make plays on the run. They want to
They want an
compress
edge
the
setter. They
pocket.
want someone who's going to set the edge. This guy would do it. I love the
Yeah,
motor. To
yeah.
me, the athleticism, the explosiveness, and the motor on Darius Robinson, when you look at, I mean, some people think he's a tackle. I think he's a defensive end. To me, he's a monster.
I like Darius. That's a good call. I could definitely see that being the pick at 31. Uh, why don't we, I'm not going to keep you too much longer, Larry. I appreciate you giving me your time. But defensive tackle, D tackle was a position that I hit pretty hard looking at it. And to me, there's a clear cut top two, which if either one of Byron Murphy or Johnny Newton make it to 31, I think it's an easy pick. Like when I said I like 25, 26 guys that I love, both those guys are in there. After that, I don't see another first round D tackle. Fisk, there's a teardrop after those top two. I like Fisk. I like your boy Aurora, which
Yeah, he's
I gotta tell you my notes on
ridiculous.
Aurora. He's tough to misdirect. Is the first thing. He's unfazed by blockers. Like you'll see guards trying to shove him out of the gap, trying to move him, trying to stop him from penetrating, and he barrels through them like they're not even touching him. He's just unmovable when you're talking about Aurora.
He was the team leader. He was all ACC. I mean, this guy had, the guy is really, really good. He's from Lagos. He's got a lot of upside potential. The motor is crazy. The workout at 295. I mean, what he looked like at the combine was ridiculous. Then you flip on the film and you can see that talent. I think he's a huge talent. I like Michael Hall. Michael Hall reminds me of Bryant Young.
I know you do.
I
I'm a big
love
fan of the
Michael
Krug
Hall.
show. I know you love some Michael Hall, and I like Michael Hall too. He's got, I wrote he's got great moves. He's got the hezzy at the line to kind of throw the guard off balance. He's got the swim move. He shoots gaps like he's a penetrator. I like Michael Hall, and I know I've heard you kind of already put to rest your concern about his run stopping ability, but that's still kind of where some of my concern is. Like second and long, third and long, I want Michael Hall on that D line. Like I want him at D tackle. First down, first and 10, I'd probably prefer somebody else, but I've heard you kind of say that's not a concern of yours. You want to elaborate on that?
Well, this guy plays with tremendous passion. So much of being a defensive tackle is about quickness. People don't realize it's not about who's the biggest guy. It's about who's the quickest guy. This guy ran 4.76. He's got the fastest 40 of any defensive tackle in the draft. I think that he's an impact guy. I think he's a day one plug and play starter, pass rusher. Really, really like him. The other guy that we didn't mention as a defensive end that I think could be a beast is Brandon Dorless from Oregon.
I got him at D
6'3".
tackle, Larry.
I think he's a D end. I think he's a monster
I got him number 5 on Baller's big board here. I got him one spot above Michael Hall. That's how much I love Dorless. Like I'm high on Brandon Dorless. He's an athletic D tackle or defensive end. He's got an awesome swim move. He's got good hands. Although he didn't test well, he didn't measure well. I don't care because the dude's a flat out stud. So I like Dorless. He's versatile. He could play D end. Maybe you want him at end, on a base down. But when it's a pass rushing down, I want him on the inside. He's my guy. He's not your guy, Larry. Your guy's Michael Hall. My guy is Brandon Dorless.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, Dorless, the combination, I think he could kind of reignite the NASCAR package. He could give you a little bit of You could line him up inside and stunt him outside. You could line him up outside and stunt him inside. He's a pretty spectacular athlete.
Yeah, I love Dorless. And then, Chris Jenkins, good against the run. If you
Only
want to
2
run
sacks all
stuffer,
year, though. That was a
yeah,
little, that concerns me.
more of a base down guy, definitely. More of a base down guy. Devondre Sweat, I don't think he's a Niner kind of guy. He came in with the weight problems. Now he just got a DUI. Like it wouldn't be surprising to me if the Niners completely removed him off the board. That being said, I got him 8th, but really the guy who I like, and I think after my 9th guy, there's a teardrop, and I put it on the screen here, but I like Dwayne Carter out of
Yeah,
Duke.
Mr.
This dude,
Duke.
he was a 3-year captain. This past year, I think he only had like 2 sacks in 2023, but the year before 2022, he had 8 sacks. So bless you. But yeah. I think teams in the ACC,
he's got a great motor, man. He just keeps
really
coming.
I think he was commanding a lot of attention this year. That's why I think the sack production dropped. He went from 8 to 2. But he's a guy. He's not strictly, a pass rushing D end. He can play all 3 downs, is what I'm getting at. And he can hold up in the run, and he can get after the quarterback. I'm big on Dwayne Carter, and after him, I see a teardrop.
Yeah, I do too. I'll tell you the late round guy that's kind of interesting to me is Jaden Crumedy. I mean, Mississippi State has produced some amazing defensive tackles. This kid is just like he's a big kid who's hasn't quite grown into his body all the way. I see great football ahead for Jaden Crumedy, and he's probably going to be a late day 3 pick from Mississippi State.
I wrote his name down. I'll take a look at.
I'll give you another sleeper I was mentioning to Peacock is Judge Culpepper from Toledo, 6'3", 300 pounds. His dad played with John Lynch in Tampa, Brad Culpepper, and this kid plays hard. Kind of an old school throwback.
I like that.
Judge Culpepper.
What'd you think about Christian Boyd out of Northern Iowa? Because he, I know he's playing lesser competition, but I liked what I saw. Well, what'd you think about him?
Well, he's being touted as a a tremendous player. I saw limited movement ability. I think he's ranked higher than he should be. I think he's a day 3 guy, but he is 320 pounds. To me, I kind of like Sweat and McKinley Jackson more than him, as far as they're all in that one technique group. And I kind of like, I just think Boyd, to me, didn't come off blocks that well. None of these guys do. They're more clog the middle guys. But I'd prefer Devondre Sweat and McKinley Jackson to Christian Boyd.
You know who I left him off my list here, and that's actually my mistake because I think I'm higher on this guy than probably anybody, and it's Fabian Lovett out of Florida State. Like this dude, Larry, double teams, he's holding the point of attack. He's holding anchor. Fabian Lovett, I saw a statistic where when he was off the field at Florida State, like their run defense gave up over an extra yard per carry as opposed to when he was on the field. Like Fabian Lovett, I know he's going day 3. He's going to be a late pick. He's not, he's not a pass rusher, but as just a run stuffer, hold the anchor against a double team. I really like Fabian Lovett. To be honest, I could have put him on this list probably. I might like him more than McKinley Jackson, to be honest. I'm higher on.
I got to hone in on him and spend some time on him because you're the second guy that told me they liked him. I think Dieter told me in a stream the other day that he really liked Lovett.
I do. Check him out. Yeah, playing next to Fisk. He's a big boy again. Not a pass rusher, but he's strong as hell and he's violent. That's what you'll love. Violent dude in Fabian Lovett.
Seriously, sometime, I'll give you a guy that I think's kind of an underrated day 3 defensive lineman is Marcus Harris for Auburn. He's 6'3", about 285, 290, and he's just a bad A, man. I mean, this guy's a tough guy. Really, really tough guy, and he plays inside, and he's got a great motor. He's got great strength. I really like Marcus Harris.
I'm gonna check out Marcus Harris out of Auburn. I wrote him down. Now, before I
Yeah.
let you go, I got to pick your wide receivers position right now.
Oh,
I'm
I got
still
to tell
kind
you
of.
my sleeper.
Oh,
I've got
please,
a super
please.
sleeper, and he's a defensive lineman, and this guy is one of my favorite guys in the entire draft. He's listed as pick number 505, so he's not considered to be drafted. His name's Elijah Chapman from SMU, and he's 6 feet 280. And if you watch
What?
this, 6
What
feet
is he?
two,
Is he like a walking bowling ball, or what is he?
yeah, this guy is unbelievable. He's a workout freak. He was a 3-star recruit. He's from Shreveport, Louisiana. He's just a monster. He went to Evangel Christian Academy for high school. He plays incredibly hard. He wears number 40 for SMU, and he just comes firing off blocks. He's strong as hell. The guy benches the whole gym. He's crazy strong, quick, instinctive. Love this kid. I mean, he's going to be an undrafted free agent, but man, I would give this kid $100,000 to come to camp. I mean, the motor does not stop. He plays with leverage. He plays with force. He's a pass rusher. Love him. Elijah Chapman. Watch that guy, and you'll once you see the athleticism, once you see how he comes off of blocks, you'll be like, wow, man, this guy. I know he doesn't fit the profile, right? He's too short. He's 6 feet. He's 280, but this guy's 6 feet 280, and he can absolutely move. So, love Elijah Chapman from SMU.
Hey, I got some homework to do, and I appreciate that. I'm gonna check out Chapman, and the last position I want to talk about before I let you go is the wide receiver position. Right now that's the position group I'm on right now, kind of diving deep. I think I've only went like 15 or 18 guys deep at the moment. But I want to ask you, after Xavier Worthy ran the blazing 40-yard dash, I have to think that kind of moved him up some draft boards, at least a little bit. I know the NFL guys, the tape is what matters the most, right? What do you do when you're on the field? But it's hard for me to believe that someone, wide receiver breaks the combine 40 record and he doesn't move up any bit. What level of shock would it be for you if Kyle Shanahan said, you know what, I want that speed. I want that weapon at pick 31. How shocked would you be if it was Xavier Worthy at 31?
Well, I'd be pretty shocked. But at the same time, Kyle went to Texas. I've talked to Kyle many times before about the value of having that one receiver that can run the defense, run the top off of the defense. Worthy's definitely that guy. He's a difference maker, but he also ran that time at 162 pounds or something. It was like, I mean, I'd be concerned about durability. The Niners to me, he doesn't fit because the 49ers should be looking for guys who own the middle of the field, because that's where Brock Purdy likes to throw the ball, in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And he's more of a sideline go pattern guy. The guy that I'm absolutely think would, like I saw that Bill Barnwell sample trade where the Niners trade 31 Ayuk and a 3rd round pick to the Chargers for the fifth pick overall and the 6th round pick, and take Malik Neighbors. I love Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors is awesome. So if I could get, I would make that trade. And I love Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors is a star. I think he's better than Harrison, better than Adunze. I think he's the best receiver in college football.
Wow.
I love Malik Neighbors. And if I could get my hands on him, I would get him, because you might be getting Jamar Chase, and would you trade Brandon Ayuk if you could get Jamar Chase? You probably would.
I don't want to move off BA, but if you're telling me they did to get Malik Neighbors, I'm cool with it. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because that dude's got rare stop-start ability, acceleration, speed. Like Malik Neighbors,
Hands. Yeah, he's terrific.
yeah, that I don't want to say bye to BA, but if you're getting Neighbors at that, cost-controlled value, of the rookie salary, yeah, I'd be all over it. The other guy I have to ask you about because I think I'm higher on this guy than most people I've seen. And before I give you that name, I want to ask you something, Larry, that I think philosophically there's something that could change in the NFL. Now, what I want to see, Larry, I want to see a 6'10", 7-foot red zone specialist. I'm serious. I'm serious. You're laughing, but I'm serious. You got the ball at the 7. It's third and 7 at the 7-yard line. If you got, imagine having like Willie Cauley-Stein or Damian Jones. I think that could be a weapon that I know Harold Carmichael had some
Well, I
success. He
mean,
was
the
6'8".
Niners worked out today was Johnny Wilson from Florida State.
That's where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going. But before I get to Johnny Wilson, I'm even going beyond that. Like, is it possible? I know, DBs would probably be diving at their knees. They probably wouldn't hold up. He'd probably be kind of a bit player. But I truly think having like an athletic, probably a former basketball player, 6'10", 7-foot, I think that would be a weapon in the red zone. Is that something that could happen in the future, or is Baller just being crazy?
Oh, I think you could see a tight end. I mean, we didn't talk tight ends, but the tight end sleeper that I love in this draft is a kid by the name of Mason Pline. And Mason Pline started off as a basketball player at Ferris State and then transferred to Furman. And he's 6'8", and I watched his basketball highlights, and the guy's jamming like he's like a FCS version of Eric Gordon, right? He's just skying and jamming, and it's just the guy looks really, really good. And then I read his profile and started watching his highlights. He's a mechanical engineering major, so he's super smart. He's 6'8", 250, redshirt senior, 10.5-inch hands, and had a good year for Furman. To me, that's a guy that I'm drafting or for sure signing. He's a grad student, but when you see the athleticism and then that height and see him play above the rim as a basketball player, and then you're looking at him going, wait a second, this guy's 6'8", 260, and he can like reverse jam and get way up, and he's a mechanical engineering major, and he has 10.5-inch hands, and he was a 3-sport star.
That's intriguing.
Mason Pline. Watch him. He wore number 89 for Furman.
Hey, I already wrote it down. I'm going to check out Mason, but you went to the guy I wanted to talk about, and it's Johnny Wilson. I think I'm higher on Johnny Wilson than most of the people I've seen. I'm still mid-evaluation process of the wide receivers, but this dude's got insane movement skills for 6'6", 6'6.5". Like, this dude's damn near 6'7". And the movement at that size is insane to me. Let me know if you agree with that. But the 4.52, that's like 55th percentile at the wide receiver. The guy's 6'7", Larry. His 37-inch vertical jump, the broad jump was insane. Like, he had a crazy combine. The dude's 6'6". When I'm watching him at Florida State, he's not stiff. Like, the dude's got some wiggle. Like, he's not Mike Evans, but similarly, Mike Evans is big and has good feet. Like, I see some of that with Johnny Wilson. Like, this guy is not being talked about enough. And when I saw that the Niners worked him out today, it pumped me up because I think this dude, you want to talk about a big slot? Jawan's a big slot. Johnny Wilson would be a tower slot.
He drops the ball. I watched a lot of his film, and he drops the ball.
I gotta look. He
does have a number of bad drops. And can he block a defensive end on the line of scrimmage? I doubt it.
Well, he's a wide receiver. I'm not moving him to tight end. I don't think this guy needs to be moved to tight end. You're trying to move Johnny to tight end?
Yeah, I'm looking at him as a flexed out tight end.
I'm not. I'm not. I think he's a wide receiver. This dude was running by DBs, Larry, at 6'7". He's running by him.
He's got good ball skills, but then you start looking at his game film and there's drops there. So I don't know. I mean, he's definitely mismatch. If you could find, I mean,
Okay,
Bill Walsh supposedly always looked for what guys could do.
I got PFF pulled up here. He's got a 10.9 drop rate. And what that means is like on catchable targets, he's dropping damn near 11%. But I mean, Jamari Thrash, do you like the kid out of Louisville, Thrash?
I've got to study him. His name's come up a couple times today. I haven't looked at him
because he's got an 11.4 drop rate. So that he's dropping more balls than Johnny Wilson. Like I know Johnny, he's got to clean that up, but there's some other receivers in this area who.
But you're talking about the 4th or 5th round. It's it's pretty good value. But I did ask Matt Barrows, give me a player that's going to be a Niner, and he said Luke McCaffrey. So I don't know how many receivers they're going to draft.
I could see that. And that's kind of that profile going back to the Trent Taylor mold. Like if you draft a McCaffrey, I'm not sure you need 2 of those guys. Maybe those guys are competing for one spot, or maybe McCaffrey can push Trent Taylor to the wayside. The last name, that I'll mention before we get out of here, Brendan Rice. Not only because he's Jerry's kid, but I think he's a damn good football player, Larry. He had 12 touchdowns this last year. Talking about drops, Brendan Rice doesn't drop the rock. I mean, he only had 2 drops all year. Like he's got great hands. He's physical. Like he knows how to kind of subtly kind of bump the DB. He's got that thick, kind of stronger frame. He's physical after the catch. He gets some separation just with physicality. Brendan Rice, man, I think he should be higher up on some of these wide receiver lists that I'm looking at. And I'm not trying to be biased just because he's Jerry's kid.
No, I like him. I like him even if he wasn't Jerry's kid. I mean, once again, now we're sounding like we're talking about a telethon here, but Brendan Rice is got great urgency. He's there's some elements of his game that are very pro. This guy, he plucks the ball with his hands. He plays with urgency. He works back to the quarterback. He play, well, if you watched him in a college game, he stands out for like how serious he's taking everything. Now, as far as upside and he's about 6'3", about 210. To me, he's kind of more of like a big slot, like replacing like a Jawan Jennings. But I like Brendan Rice. I think he's really, really talented. 4th or 5th round pick, but I really like him.
Yeah, me too. Hey, Larry, I appreciate you coming on. You're the hardest working man in 49ers content creation right here. I appreciate you bringing me on. We've talked some Warriors, we talked some Niners, so I'm grateful that you share your platform with me. Everyone watching, the chat was live. Appreciate all you guys. Hey, like and subscribe. Come on over here to Bay Area Baller. Hit that subscribe. Post draft and the lead up, we'll have some more content coming out. But hey, Larry, appreciate it.
I got to tell you, one of my sleeper running back is Amani Bailey from TCU, and I really love Blake Corum. I think Blake Corum is going to
I know that. Anybody who watches the Krug show knows
I love Blake Corum. I think he's a star. By the way, the Giants are getting beat tonight 15-1. 15-1.
Was this a Snell start too?
Yes.
Oh, geez.
Snell went 4 2/3, 8 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned.
That's a not good. That's not good.
No.
Hey, Larry, appreciate it. I'll let you get about your night. Hey, we'll talk soon, all right?
Sounds good, brother. Good to see you, man.
All right, appreciate it.
Appreciate you.